So last year my dad and I got into 40k together, and we've been playing it for quite a while now. I play Slaanesh and my dad plays Space Marines. But one thing has always eluded me, and that's the lore of 40k. So I've made the quick and brash decision to immediately make a group of videos to explain 40k lore in plain English that anyone can understand. This is going to be as much of a learning experience for me as it is for you guys, and God knows how long it's going to take me. The oldest thing that is ever talked about in 40k is called the War in Heaven. It's the backstory of the robot faction called Necrons, and we're going to start there.
No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine, though?
Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away during creation itself, a bunch of reverse vampires were made. These guys hung around while things got situated over the next few eons and sucked up solar star syrup. Meanwhile, in the Milky Way galaxy, some humbuggery was afoot as matter started to take shape into a race of cool lizard wizards called the Old Ones. These espresso geckos were so cool that their super advanced technology basically looked like magic. While they were hanging around being Kaiser colonizers of the galaxy, they decided to have kids. So they planted the seeds that would eventually become other races on different planets. One of these races were the glamorous, cancerous Necron. Living in a region completely assailed by solar winds and radiation storms, these indignant malignants got really fussy about their existence and lifespan. Because their home was so yucky-sucky, they played Kerbal Space Program and bounced at the first sign of freedom. Thanks to the fact that these tumor bloomers were so driven, eventually they took over half the galaxy and ran into ye old lizard wizards. Since the Salamander commanders were immortal and the Persona Carcinoma were so salty over their cancer, war broke out when the Scalies refused genetic chemotherapy assistance and free healthcare.
It's like they say, man plans and God laughs.
That is such bullshit.
Downside though, Walter White isn't very good in a fight. So, the war is a total failure. The Chemo Supremos lose basically every fight and get pushed back home and put on house arrest in a matter of seconds. For the foreseeable future, they spit roast and get really angry about everything. They get so angry trying to make a weapon that can kill Geico that they start throwing science at the wall to see what sticks. On sheer luck, those Cancermancers find the inverse Draculas. They put their brand new vampire crew into metal bodies so that they can walk around all normal-like until Dracula Satan gets the idea that he's gonna pull a Garden of Eden. This Buddhist Judas called the Deceiver goes to the king of all cancer and says, "Hey, I see you're mad. We're mad too. Same thing happened to us, bro. Promise. Same lizards even. Worship us and we'll get you revenge. Pinky swear." When King Cancer agrees, vampires do what vampires do and start eating everyone. But this time, with consent first. Very important. So now the senior citizen carcinogen are back at war and they're doing alright. Upside too, vampire gods have a great idea. Hey, you know what? You put us in these metal bodies, why don't you do that to yourselves too? Great idea, said the tumor boomers as they flung so many of their mortal forms into enough giant factories that it would make Ford a frog. Forgetting of course that their gods were discussion gluttons who would eat everyone who decided to mass suicide. Oops. Thus the Necrons were born, only the strong-willed made it through the process unchanged. The average individual is now just a hard sci-fi yes man to the big CK's every whim due to the command protocol installed in their digibrains. But at least they still hated lizards. So, they, along with the other new front-runner bloodsuckers, went back to war, but this time, they're winning, son. The Terminators stomped the lizards into the dirt, but all was not so well on the home front. The Dracula spatulas were bringing in less and less souls from their warmongering harvests. So the avant-garde Alucard started eating each other. This caused just enough of a disturbance among the Necrons that it gave the wizard lizards time enough to start coming up with solutions. Really, really stupid solutions. The iguanas decided if they can't win the fight, they'll build someone to win the fight for them, and began genetically splicing everything they could get their hands on until they had made several psychic warrior races to take back the galaxy. This is basically how magic was made. Turns out magic is strong against both vampires and Terminators, so the Necrons really had to get their act together. They concocted a plan to turn off all the magic in the Milky Way galaxy and almost got away with it too, if it weren't for those darn souls in their magical immaterial realm. Basically, things were so bad that the plot to Doom happened. It didn't even take any science this time. Things were just so bad that reality split open and bam, demons. So, now hell is something that the skinks have to fight too, for all of like 5 minutes, and then they all died. Pleased with himself, the Box Spring King decided it was time to kill God and pulled a JRPG plot out of his ass. He tricked the bad customer bloodsuckers into thinking that they were in charge and then built some really big guns to shoot them with. But vampires are immortal. So, due to plot armor, the malign divines broke up into tiny little pieces. The meddling metal men then stuck each shard into giant battery pyramids and lived happily ever after. Things were so happy, the automaton spawn decided it was time for a well-deserved nap. They had spent so much energy killing God that they couldn't stand up against even the smallest of armies. So, the King of Bling ordered his people to sleep for 60 million years, and as his last act as ruler, cut the command protocols that gave him dominion over them, and blasted himself into the deep, dark depths of space. It's been 41 million Terran years since, but humans just can't leave well enough alone. Trying to dig up the past, human civilizations regularly excavate and wake up the sleepy sweeties on their tomb worlds.